Here's some tips and tricks you're going to need when applying for your VA loan. Number one, first and foremost, you're going to need to understand your eligibility. VA loans are eligible for active duty veterans, reserves, guards, and veterans who are no longer serving. Also for some spouses as well. But there's a bunch of different guidelines as far as where you fall to qualify. And if you want to find out more, you should definitely follow this page. Number two is you're definitely going to want to get pre-approved. Before you go house hunting, you're going to want to seek pre-approval from a VA-approved lender or a veteran mortgage advisor such as myself. I can always help you out to determine your budget and make sure that you're pre-approved and good to go. Once you get your actual pre-approval, you're going to want to know what your budget is. Now, once you determine what your budget is, it might be different than your pre-approval. You might be pre-approved for a heck of a whole lot of money, but you might not want to spend that much money in order to get the house, because you got to remember how much it's going to cost to get in the home and how much it's going to cost to stay in the home. Now, one of the biggest pitfalls that people will find when getting their VA loan is not factoring in the funding fee. Now, the funding fee can be anywhere from 2 to about 3.3% of the actual loan amount, sometimes a little bit less too, but it really falls into those categories. But if you wanted to get around your funding fee, well, if you have a service-connected disability, guess what? You're waived and you don't have to factor it in. But that is something that you do have to take into consideration. Now, a lot of people will come up to me and they'll talk to me about some of the property requirements. Now, the VA does have very specific property requirement standards. Some of the things like chipped paint or broken windows or not having a handrail on a stairwell might fall out of compliance with some VA guidelines. You're going to want to make sure that you check into these things or speak with a knowledgeable professional like myself who can help you out. Now, you're also not going to want to work with someone who doesn't know VA. If you're dealing with a realtor who has never worked with a veteran client or doesn't know the VA process, you might be in a little bit of trouble. You might want to find a VA savvy realtor, and especially a VA savvy lender like myself. Now, here's another tip for you. You always want to make sure that you have good credit. The VA does not have a specific guideline in terms of credit as far as what it needs to be, but lender overlays might impose some specific guidelines in terms of what your credit score should be. So make sure that you have a good, strong credit history. And if you don't, get with someone like myself who can help you to work on it and help boost those scores up. Another pitfall is people will forget about the VA appraisal process. Now, the VA appraisal process will ensure the property's value and condition meets the standards, and it gets a lot of flack, but not for really good reasons. See, the VA appraisal is actually a really good appraisal, and it holds the same weight as any other appraisals, but you actually have 2 times to dispute it if it comes in below value. And there's actually a lot of things that a VA appraisal will come in as, and people will say, oh, well, you shouldn't go VA because you have to get a VA appraisal, and they might have an issue with things. But as long as it doesn't meet one of the minimum property requirements, the MPRs of the VA, you can actually get the veteran to write a waiver over to the VA, and they will waive that requirement for you. Now, as always, you're going to want to stay informed. The world of mortgages and home buying can be very complex, so keep yourself informed about the latest changes in VA loan guidelines and regulations, or just seek the help of someone like myself who can inform you in any time a change occurs. As always, make sure you stick with some expert guidance and don't hesitate to consult with the best. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a shout. I'm Chermak, Marine Corps veteran and veteran mortgage advisor.